Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mental Junk Food, where we talk about all things comics, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, pop culture, and everything in between. And I am your host, CB Smallwood. Now, today we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic, at least for myself, I think it's interesting. And that topic is: was the medic in 1987's G.I Joe the movie, was that medic on drugs? Well, that is the way I remember it, and I might not be the only one. But more on that in just a bit. Many cartoons at the time, back in the 80s, were upping the ante as it relates to scope and consequences. Just a prior year, prior to 1987, the now classic Transformers, the movie, came out in 1986, which saw the death of the beloved Optimus Prime, as well as many, many other Autobot fan favorites at the very beginning of the film. The point is that in the 80s there was a lot of serious themes that were being played out in children's cartoons, which brings me back to G.I. Joe the movie, and in particular the idea of the medic being a drug addict. Now, my memory of the movie goes something like this. The Joes were on some type of mission in some snowy location. A fight breaks out with Cobra, as usual. The medic, Lifeline, is scared and he's like digging through his med kit in the snow, and he either takes out some pills and swallows them or injects himself with something. And the reason is Lifeline was a drug addict. Now, later on, this is discovered by Duke, who sends Lifeline to Sargent Slaughter to get straightened out and for a second chance. Sargent Slaughter, makes Lifeline wash dishes, run through tires, does lots of workouts, etc. That's what I remember. I remember that. Having watched the movie 3 times or so on a video rented from a local video store back in the day, that is how many times I had watched it back in the day, at least 3 times from a rented movie from a video store. Okay? Now, fast forward to today. To my shock and disbelief, having watched G.I. Joe the movie for the first time in more than a decade, Lifeline is not a drug addict. No, he is not. He's not sent to Sergeant Slaughter. None of that. Instead, it's a cocky Green Beret, Falcon, who is seen and portrayed as reckless and cocky in the cartoon movie. He is the one that is sent to Sergeant Slaughter. What the heck? Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? I mean, what's going on here? So I went to Wikipedia to look up information to try to get more of a gist of things, and I'm going to share with you the actual plot as it differs from the important details of my memory. And I quote: Cobra assaults the Joes as they test the BET in the Himalayas. The Joes use the BET to activate their automated weapon systems. Serpentor is captured and Cobra Commander orders a retreat. Cobra Commander leads his troops into Cobra Law. Meanwhile, Zarana tricks Falcon into infiltrating Serpentor's holding cell. For abandoning his training, Falcon is put on guard duty by Duke. After Falcon abandons his post to flirt with Jinx, the Dreadnoks and Nemesis enforcer free Serpentor, injuring Alpine Bazooka and Gung Ho in the process. General Hawk scolds Falcon for abandoning his post and confines him to the quarters until court-martial. Convinced by Duke to spare Falcon from harsh punishment, General Hawk reassigns Falcon to the slaughterhouse, where he is trained or retrained by Sergeant Slaughter and his renegades, consisting of ex-Viper Mercer, former football player Red Dog, and the former acrobat Taurus. Blah, blah, blah. I got tongue twisted. Unquote. So how can this be so different from how I remember it? Could it be that G.I. Joe on drugs, or the medic on drugs, was too controversial, that some Beam Productions changed it very early on? Maybe they had got some blowback on it and they just they changed it last minute, or maybe like this was never released in theaters, but like maybe what I had watched on VHS was some rare original demo take thing that got released from the warehouse by mistake. And there's only so many copies. Who knows? Who knows? That's what I'd like to think, but we'll see. Or is it more likely a false memory on my part? Now, for those that ask, what is a false memory? Well, I'm glad you asked. For a false memory is a psychological phenomenon where a person recalls something that did not happen, or that something happened differently from the way it happened. That sounds a lot like me so far. Okay. The phenomenon was initially investigated by psychological pioneers Pierre Janet and Sigmund Freud. Elizabeth Loftus has, since her debuting research project in 1974, been a lead researcher in memory recovery and false memories. This Wikipedia thing that I'm reading from goes on to say, suggestibility, activation of associated information, and the incorporation of misinformation and source misattribution have been suggested to be several mechanisms underlying a variety of types of false memory phenomena. Yeah! My gosh. I kind of wished I didn't put that in the video. I kind of, should have edited that out. Now, we could chuck this up as a false memory if it weren't for the fact that I have a close friend. Okay? Close friend who remembers it just as I do. Also adding fuel to my argument, several years ago I found someone online, random stranger, whatever, in a public post on some forum or whatever, mentioned that he remembered Lifeline as a drug addict in the movie, and it was he who was sent to Sargent Slaughter. Remembers it just as I do. Strange enough, I can't find that post today. It's long buried under years of new social media, blogs, and everything in between. So I can't prove it other than my friend who's also a witness. Other than that, I can't find that stranger to collaborate my story. But for the sake of this video and my sanity, just humor me for a bit. Now, how can three people, one of which that don't know the others, have the same memory? Well, assume there are others out there that feel the same way that I do. There is the possibility of what's called the Mandela effect. Now, the Mandela effect, depending on who you asked, is either a weird phenomenon where large groups of people misremember the exact same given thing in the exact same way, or a pseudoscientific belief that some differences between one's memories and the real world are caused by changes to past events in the timeline. We're getting into some Back to the Future stuff here. Many proponents of the latter, which is the version that I'm talking about at the moment, believes it is caused by accidental travel between alternate universes, although some others propose that history has been deliberately altered after the fact by malicious extradimensional beings with the same timeline, or by experiments at CERN. Oh my gosh. I kind of got into some really nutty stuff just then. But anyway, basically the Mandela effect, depending on what you believe, it's either some weird phenomenon where a large group of people misremember the exact same thing, or it is, a group of people who misremember a bunch of stuff, and it's because they're living in an alternate timeline or alternate reality, or reality's been changed. So you take it for however you want to take it, all right? Now, the Mandela effect was named after Nelson Mandela, who some people erroneously believed to have died in prison in the 1980s. Let's see. Another commonly false memory is thinking that the title of children's book series, The Berenstein Bears, is actually spelled as the Berenstein Bears. So, there you go. There's also the... I researched this here lately. Forrest Gump, the movie. There's a line in there where he says, life was like a box of chocolates. Now there's a big debate, amongst people. Did he say life is like a box of chocolates, or did he say life was like a box of chocolates? And I actually watched the clip, and the first time I heard him say is, and then when I played it back a second time, I heard him say was. Figure that one out. So now, I'm at a loss. I'm asking for your help. Please spread the word. Help me figure out why I have this memory and why the memory doesn't line up with the cartoon movie. So what do you guys think? Was Lifeline a drug addict who was sent to Sargent Slaughter in the 1987 G.I Joe movie? And was it changed due to some possible outrage on the part of parents? Or is this like some false memory on my part? Or if there happens to be more than just me, which there are, that remembers drug addict Lifeline, is that part of the Mandela effect? Also, what do you think about me using this new avatar in my videos? Do you like it? You want to see more of it? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel to be kept up to date to all my latest shenanigans. As always, until next time, I will see you in the next video.